Hey guys, it's Lucid, welcome back. We're jumping back into our game with early age Yomi in Ring World. It's turn 24, and without any further ado, we'll hop into it. We've got our standard elf hating message from Abyssia at the start. I just got a Bad Omens event. Even now the perfidious elvish influence works against me. Do your part in the removal of the elvish menace. Okay, and we're getting some items from Lanka, our partner. So we got the Blue Dragon Scale Mill, which actually is going to be pretty good against the Frostbrands, which our Fomorian adversary is carrying. A Skull Mentor, some Fire and Earth Gems, and a Magic Owl Quill. We finished Research in Enchantment. I think this is Enchantment 1. And then we found 4 magic sites in Headbutt. So let's take a look at these. Okay, we've got the Alchemist Guild. So we already have Earth and Fire, but this breaks us into Astral, which is huge. Plus, we were already thinking about alchemizing, so having an alchemist actually makes that way more efficient. Especially, you know, we don't have a great use for fire gems at the moment. And we may go up fire pretty high, in which case we could try to get Eternal Pyre since we have a pretty good fire income. And Eternal Pyre, I haven't done the math, but I can do it. With an Alchemist and Eternal Pyre up, that can generate a pretty huge amount of gold, which is something Yomi desperately needs. So anyway, that's an option now, and most importantly, since it breaks us into Astral, we can do very important things like anti-magic in our fights, which is really, really good on demons. It's also good if we're trying to bring an army to fight his guys who may be carrying Vine Shields, since those have MR negates checks on them. So anyway, let's go back to that province. So this is, and it's also 2 gems. So this is one of my favorite sites in the game. So we got super lucky here finding that. But we didn't only find that. We also found a quicksand. We found an elusive lights, which is a 2-gem site, and this gives us fire, which we don't need as much, and air, which is super valuable to us, and then a cypress forest, which gives us much needed nature, and then also air. So we have a pretty huge air income at this point. We're already up to 7, and that's starting at 0, so that's pretty awesome. And that actually is going to fold into our plans later, because there's a ton of things we can do with air. One of the things we can do is we can empower Dione to air 2. And we definitely need to empower at least 1, because the first air Dione we get is going to be able to allow us to summon Daitengu, which requires air 2, earth 1. And these guys are awesome. This is how we're going to be doing Fog Warriors in all of our big fights. Now we have to get up to, it's only concentration 5, but we do have to spend some time in this research tree, get 4 and 5. So it's not that far away, but yeah, so it's definitely a priority for us, going a little farther in Conjuration. And yeah, so anyway, yeah, basically air gems are going to get turned into empowering Dione, probably early, and then later it's all going to go into Contact Daitengu. And just to put this in context, an air income of 7 means we can cast this about... what is it, 7 into 55? So that's like every 7 or 8 months, which is pretty good. But I think hopefully we can get our air income up a bit more. If we look at all our provinces, we've hardly even site searched air, and hopefully Lanka will come through here and finish all the site searching, and that will get our air economy really going. So that is that. Did we go through all the sites? Yeah, Cypress Forest. Our nature income still kind of sucks though. It's only 2, and we really need this to be much higher, but you can see we really haven't site searched nature. These 2 that we have is actually Lanka coming through in site searching, where you can see he's also site searched blood. But we're starting to get, we will be starting to get some of our nature. Like we found a lab here as part of an event, we'll talk about that, but we're going to start getting some of our nature mages, which will allow us to start site searching nature. So that will be pretty important. So we'll go through all the things that happened this turn. We have a battle here. So the giants are attacking Lanka here. This was his little Ichthid province. and I don't think I need to tell you how this is going to go. So we do see some important things. One thing we see is he's got mist form now. And this is one of the things I was thinking that he was waiting for before he starts deploying these giants as super combatants. So that kind of tells us where his research is. And what it probably means is that before he's been very conservative. He does not want to lose any of his troops or his army. But he has been using, we'll find his god. He has been using his god once his god became very powerful. Like once he had all the prerequisites, he's very bold in using it. So I think he was waiting until it's very safe to use Fomorian kings. And now that he has the appropriate research, he doesn't have much gem income. So it's going to be a little tricky for him to build the necessary items. But I expect very soon to see a Fomorian king emerge as another super combatant. And once there are 4 or 5 of these going around, he can retake a lot of this land very quickly. So we need to have counters in place by then. Okay, so we've got a battle here. We have a small little raiding party. Okay, these guys are going to get crushed. Okay, we actually just ran. So I think we were raiding. Let me see which province this is. Yeah, I think we had a little party going here to raid. Or maybe we were pillaging. I can't remember what we did last time. But we had a little group here, and they were only going to take it. Oh, or there's a group here, and they were moving up here, and they were retreating. That's what happened. So, yeah, 7 units under his command retreated back. And this actually didn't really work out because they retreated back to the same province they came from, and all I really did was lose units. So, whoops. But I was expecting we would lose this province this turn, which we didn't. And then I wouldn't have anywhere to go. So, anyway, that didn't really work in my favor. And then right here, this is his pretender god. Attacking Lanka with a bunch of sacreds, which would normally be scary, but this guy does not care. Now, I don't think he cast Reinvigoration, so yeah, his fatigue is actually really high right now. But it doesn't matter, because he has a lot of Reinvigoration. I don't think he has permanent weakness, does he? No. Some of these guys can give you permanent weakness if they actually hit you. But you can see, the Vine Shield is doing a ton of work, and then the Repel is holding off everyone else. Like, if we just pop and stop, we'll see everybody here is getting repelled. So, yeah, his harass penalty is hardly down at all. Now, these Hars, though, if they do manage to hit him, they are going to increase his Har mark. So his Har mark will get really high. But the thing is, unless Astral Corruption comes up, he's not very likely to get attacked by Doom Hars, which probably could kill him. Though there's a chance he may actually be able to kill him. The thing about a lot of Doom Hars is they have armor negating attacks, and they have very high attack and defense. So that would actually be a good battle, him versus Doomhar. But most of the time it's not going to happen. Like, it might happen once the whole game. And it's not going to happen until way later, after he does this for a long time. But that's not really his concern right now. And honestly, if he improves the gear he has, he probably won't even die to a Doomhar. I mean, it's a very, very strong build. Now, if the Doomhar catches him when he doesn't have slaves to not be able to do hell power, and then maybe a few other things, you never know. It could work. Okay, coming down here. Okay, so this was the cost. He lost 5 of the Palangshas. And then down here, we send our Dionian. We are attacking the Throne province here. So this is one of the harder provinces. We didn't want to take it earlier because there's a bunch of skeleton spammers. And the thing, we need to have some kind of AoE to deal with all of the chaff that's going to get created, or we'll just get pinned down and probably take a lot of afflictions. And then also having really high protection, which comes from Legions of Steel, is going to help us. We are better than fatigue neutral, so you can see our fatigue is coming down. does look like we got hit, and we got a never healing wound from that hit though, so that was very unlucky. Normally when you just get hit for 5, you're not going to get an affliction, but you can see we had a really bad go of that luck. And you can see, and I knew these guys weren't very high in death magic, so they're not really cranking out a bunch of skeletons, but they are trickling in. And if we were killing them one at a time, we wouldn't be able to keep up. But here you can see we are killing them significantly faster. A lot of it's thanks to this Mace of Eruption. Okay, I thought I saw like a dark red number, which normally means you got bleeding. Okay, and our fatigue is getting low. I think when this guy gets really low fatigue, sometimes he starts casting. We'll see if he does that. Like maybe once it gets down to the 20s. Oh, it went back up. What happened? Oh, I think if these guys hit, they can do fatigue damage. Fatigue damage, okay, yeah. Okay, so all in all, not bad. We took the province. That was right here. So this turns out to be the Throne of Death, which, on one hand, if we were just playing us, we would definitely take it, because we love the Death Gems. On the other hand, we're playing with the Blood Hunting Nation, and taking any points in death, especially a lot of his provinces are just on the edge of 5,000, which means they'll start getting penalties to blood hunting if population goes down. So taking even 1 death here, even though it's 5 death gems, we're probably not going to do it, which it pains me to say. So this guy's going to site search, and hopefully our luck continues finding sites. Coming down here, we move to Dionian. And this is our new setup. So this is my Super Combatant Killer, which has the Flesh Eater, the Star of Heroes, Copper Plate, Black Steel Helmet, Key Shoes, Bracers of Protection, and a Lifelong Protection. And after some testing, we found this guy would kill their Pretender God. So this guy in front is just here to spam out Curse, but as you can see, unfortunately, we do not have Pretender God here to kill. So that is a bit unfortunate. Now this guy will return if he gets hit for enough damage, but he has really high protection at 30. So he, like, the slings aren't going to do that, most likely. Okay. And we managed to kill off, I think this was mostly PD he had. So it was 6 Fomorian warriors and then a bunch of PD. Or not a bunch, maybe 10 PD. So that's nice. We are on top of this fort again. And you can see the unrest now, because we had been raiding it, but I didn't know what the unrest was. So 177 is a lot. The income is down to 7, which is a bit ridiculous. And he's not going to be able to recruit any units from here. So that's good, which means he's basically limited to 1 fort of troop production and mage production. Yeah, so that's good. Then I think we have one more battle to show you. Okay, and we were just pinging this throne, or I mean this province. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to do. The thing is, his Pretender has Boots of Flight, so he could go to any province within 2 radius, but he's probably not going to go to a province with our Dominion in it. So he could go anywhere. He could go here, try to kill this big stack. He could go here. He could go here. He could try to knock us off this fort, though it's unlikely since he probably knows this is a setup geared to kill his Pretender. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure this out, because when there's so many different moves he can do, and when he has things that completely hard counter some of your stuff, like this guy would kill an entire army without taking a loss, or without dying. It makes it really hard to figure out what's the right move to make. So, I do not think it's likely he moves his Pretender God here. I think the places he might move his Pretender God are here. This is probably the most likely place. And the reason is because he's probably a little worried that I move down here and then I move here and check his capital. So he probably wants to stay within 2 range of his capital, which would mean he needs to move here. So I have an option. I could try to intercept him here, but the risk I have if I do that is he could potentially move in all the Fomorian giants, like move everybody he has into this province. And I'm not sure, I don't think I would be able to kill his Pretender God plus a bunch of Fomorian giants. So I didn't want to move everybody this way. What I end up doing is I say, well, I know his Pretender God can't move here, so it's unlikely that he is going to move his Pretender all the way back here, or it's impossible, but there's still a chance he could move his Pretender here. So I'm going to leave this guy with Ring of returning on top of this fort just to curse his Pretender if he comes in. And then this guy is going to go move south so that we can potentially check his throne. And I'm not even sure if I will, but the reason I want to do that is if I do that, I start having more predictable moves from him, and then I could potentially, you know, catch his Pretender with both of these guys, or something like that. But I just want to force him into more predictable situations, which, in general, we're probably going to get if he is on the defensive. So we're going to move this guy here. Yeah, this script probably isn't right, actually. And this turn's already in the past now by a little bit, but this shouldn't be Resist Cold. This should probably be Skeletal Body, since there's a chance I run into Fomorian Giants. And the Resist Cold is only good against his Pretender God with the Frostbrand. It's not really good against anything else. So that's not really ideal, but anyway. The other thing, and I haven't really tested how this guy will hold up against Fomorian Giants. He's more designed to kill the Pretender. Like, his protection is not that high, though it will be pretty high with Legions of Steel and Ironskin. But anyway, hard to know. I haven't tested it is the main problem. Okay, trying to think if there's anything else. So we're going to be raiding this. I don't think he's going to keep his Pretender God here, and I don't think he's going to move his Pretender God up this way, but he might. In case he does, we're going to... I don't want to commit a large force to take this province back, because there's a chance we bump each other, and they would obviously die to him. So I'm going to do just a small little group of barbarians, which will definitely kill a small PD investment there. And then down here, we'll go ahead and move this big army. I think it's unlikely he moves his Pretender God to defend this province. But I don't know. And if we just run into a small group of giants with this army, I'm quite sure we'd win. In no small part thanks to the Shades, which are going to be doing armor negating damage. Yeah. So, what's this guy doing? Okay, this guy's going to stand here and maintain siege. This guy we're actually going to send on a raiding mission south. Instead of attacking, I just want to kind of pillage this province and hopefully cause some unrest, which will kind of make the way for my demons to come through later, which have chaos power. So, I think that is about it for the kind of offensive logistics. The other thing is, you can see I've handed over this fort to Lanka, and he's going to upgrade it since I cannot. This fort is upgraded too, so he'll be handing this back to me. But because I did have some researchers here, which is one of the reasons, if you're playing in a Disciples game, having researchers in a fort that you hand over, all of a sudden they can't do anything. So we're going to go off on a little site searching mission. This guy's going to walk up here and site search, and then probably walk back. And hopefully by about the time he's getting back, Lanka will be ready to hand the fort over to me. Meanwhile, this guy who has already gotten afflicted, we're going to send him south. He can potentially build a palisades here to protect this most valuable province. It's... yeah, this is a 7-gem province, which is kind of ridiculous. And, I mean, this is probably my most important province in the game. Like, maybe even more... I mean, not more important than my capital, but... so, my second most important. So I probably want to put a fort on it. In terms of forging, we're making more hammers. We're making a hammer here. And then up here, We're making bracers of protection, and then also a robe of missile protection. The robes we're only making not for the missile protection, but just because it's 0 encumbrance. So if we put it on these guys, the Oni Shugo, who have a very good base encumbrance, but very bad armor, it turns them into pretty respectable horde of skeletons casters. But you really need something to deal with that encumbrance penalty. So if you're expecting they're going to get smacked, sometimes you still want them to have armor. But if you think they're going to get smacked, you probably don't want them casting horde of skeletons. So anyway, we're going to be doing that for some of these guys. So anyway, we're making that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. I think that's kind of most of our stuff for this turn. And I think we're at 20 minutes, so that's the end of this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.